Hey, hello, welcome back. I'm an author and I make fun, accessible videos about writing, editing, and publishing. If you're into that, go ahead and subscribe. It's always like 70% of my views come from people who aren't subscribed, and I guess I'm starting to wonder what it is about me that you don't want to commit to. Come on in. Earlier this year, I made a video about a drafting software for writers called NovelPad. We did a walkthrough and review, so that's a link in the description if you'd like to learn more. In this video, I'm going to go over some of their updates and talk about what I like and don't like now. Then we'll decide if NovelPad is actually worth your time. Since my last video, these are the updates that I think are the most significant. Number one, there's an offline version of NovelPad now. It was previously solely browser-based. They added a rewind feature that allows you to retrieve previous iterations of your drafts. They fixed that copy-paste error I mentioned in my last video. They fixed the way that the goal setting function works, which I'd also complained about in my last video, and they added collapsible chapter headings. Offline availability is great because you won't always have internet where you want to work. Obviously, it's great for me specifically because I work in a lot of places with inconsistent Wi-Fi. So if I'm working on something like Google Docs and the Wi-Fi drops out and the page refreshes and I've lost paragraphs of work or whatever, that sucks. So it's nice knowing that that's not going to happen while I'm writing. I like having it online and offline because that means that I can work whenever and wherever because it's available on any device and I can work on it without internet access. So you have probably heard me gripe about the time that Scriven rate my novel. NovelPad didn't want that to happen to us, so they added the rewind feature. You can go back in time to any previous version of your manuscript as well as hopping forward again if you change your mind. You just set the date and time you want to retrieve from, and then you have that version of your draft back. For example, I had a computer glitch and lost like a chapter, but that's not a problem if you can just retrieve a version from 5 minutes ago before it got tossed into the abyss. I mentioned in my last video that sometimes if you copy and pasted into NovelPad or if you like highlighted and dragged text within the document, you'd get a page error, but that's all good now. I haven't encountered that problem since my last video because Daddy NovelPad is always listening and responding to our complaints at the speed of light. I had also mentioned that the goal tracker function was odd because you couldn't like set a start date, so the projections that they came up with were really weird. So they fixed that problem and made that entire function really nice. So we're gonna look at the goal tracker because I think it's one of the coolest features. If you follow me on Instagram and you see when I post stories of like when I hit word milestones, this is what you're seeing in those pictures. This is an old project, but you can see your progress, so the words you've written and how many minutes you've been writing, and then how many words you've written today of your goal. This is where you set the goal and you could do either words or minutes, and then you can do per day, per week, per month, or total. You can have it track words in all scenes or just the active manuscript, your start date and finish date. And then this is the weekly writing schedule, which is very neat. So you can set which days you want lighter or heavier or which days you're going to take off regularly. You can also set it to adapt schedule to your progress, which means if you write above or below your daily goal, do you want it to distribute throughout the rest of your writing days? This is great if you have a goal like NaNoWriMo where you're going to write 50,000 words in a month. You don't really want to write more and you definitely don't want to write less. Then you can add sprints and vacations throughout that period. So if you have like a long weekend where you want to get a lot of writing done, or if you need to take a day off, you can just add that in. So you have your consistent weekly writing schedule with your customized days, like if you want to take Sundays off or if you are really busy on one day of the week and you want to do a little less. And then you can add the sprints and vacations for those like one-time special occasions. I really like the goal tracker page. It's intuitive and customizable and really motivating. If you saw my video about writing a novel start to finish in 5 weeks, I gave a lot of credit to the goal tracker feature because if your goal is to write 2,000 words a day, but one word you only get 300, instead of having to write 3,700 words the next day, it would just distribute that 1,700 in all of the days remaining to reach your goal. And that just makes it where all of your daily word counts are a little bit higher. So the way that's structured is pretty stress-free. Collapsible headings were a feature that I was really wanting because once you get to a certain point in your manuscript, scrolling for 1,000 years isn't super cool. And I did like that aspect of drafting in Microsoft Word, so I was missing it in NovelPad. Another problem I had was if you were somewhere in the middle of your manuscript and then you clicked to another page, like the goal tracker page, and came back, it would reset you to the top of the manuscript. Again, in Microsoft Word, you had functions like pick up where you left off to bring you back where you were. And while you're drafting in Microsoft Word, you're not clicking off to something else in the program that's going to make you lose your spot. So those are my two problems with finding my spot in the manuscript. So they added collapsible headings, which is awesome. And they added page scroll memory retention. I was initially going to complain about some glitches they had with the headings feature, but it's already fixed. I can never film fast enough to catch them, which is always a nice consistency with NovelPad. If I have a problem and bring it to their attention, they are implementing solutions pretty quickly because their overall goal is to make a tool for writers that's as functional as possible. So they're very open to feedback. So those are the updates I wanted to talk about since my last video. Now here's a fresh list of my favorite features since they've changed so much. Number one, I love that they're always evolving. The program just keeps getting better and better, and I get really excited every time there's an update because I know I'm gonna love the new features. Number two is I feel like my books are really safe with NovelPad. It being available offline and having the rewind feature makes me pretty confident that I'm not gonna lose my work, and that's been a problem a few times in the past, so I feel held here. Number three is the goal tracker. I've never really been a big let me set word count goals kind of writer until NovelPad. I really like how the tracker page is formatted. I like how you can set the heavier and lighter days and that you can let the schedule adapt to your progress. I said this in my last review video. I don't think I would be as fast of a writer without NovelPad. I've tried other drafting options and this is the quickest I finished projects, especially since they made the goal tracker more comprehensive. Number four, I still love the overview of the chapters page where you can see all of your chapters and scenes, click and drag them around, and just get that overhead perspective of the whole piece. Especially in longer projects, I lose my place and I get overwhelmed with a big manuscript. So I love that aspect of organization. It really suits my writing style. I guess my fifth favorite thing is that for new users, the learning curve is so minimal. You can strategize how to use the features as you become more familiar with the program, but you can literally make your free account and start writing immediately on the drafting page because it's so straightforward and intuitive. We do writing streams on Twitch, and yesterday I had a stream where someone started using NovelPad while we were writing and they were keeping up with us. Like, they immediately understood it and jumped right in. I remember when I first started using Scrivener, I was like, where am I? So those are my favorite features. Here are some things I would like to see changed. Number one, I would like to see a collapse or expand all headings option. I think that would be really helpful. I actually mentioned it to them this morning, so it's possible that that will be a feature before I even can get this video uploaded. I don't think y'all are appreciating how hard it is for me to complain about NovelPad. Like, I really have to put my heart into it. Number two is there seems to be some kind of glitch with the search function. I noticed it happening after the last update, but if you search the document for a word and click next, it sometimes hops to some random part of the document, and sometimes it doesn't bring you to that word in the manuscript at all, and I can't figure out what's happening. Those are really the only complaints that I have, but there are a few features that I think might be cool to add, like a completely full screen drafting mode that hides all the buttons. I might like to see some kind of folder function on the novels page just because I work on series, so some extra organization there might be nice. Right now I just archive the ones I'm not actively working on because that makes it look less cluttered. Maybe some kind of collaborative function would be cool, since that is pretty easy to do with Google Docs, and I'd imagine they're a big competitor for NovelPad, being a browser-based drafting option with offline features. I could list feature ideas all day, but I might be wrong because one of the biggest draws to NovelPad for me is the simplicity of it. It's so streamlined and distraction-free that maybe bogging it down would be worse. And with the collaboration idea specifically, right now I download my NovelPad document and I upload it to Google Docs to share with people. It's like a two-step process. It's super simple, so it's not a huge inconvenience just to use another program for that. Ultimately, NovelPad does work because it's simple. That's all I've got for constructive criticism. I did rack my brain. So, is NovelPad worth it? Yes. I love it. Surprise. Like I said, I made that video about how I drafted a novel in 5 weeks with NovelPad, and I do think that writing with them made that possible. It's linked in the description. If you're not ready to invest anything into a drafting software yet, Google Docs is still, in my opinion, the best free option. But if you want to get yourself something a little nicer, NovelPad is my favorite that I've tried so far. And if you want to test it out without an investment, I got great news. NovelPad is partnering with NaNoWriMo this year, so you can still use it free through November. You got a couple weeks to try it out. Afterwards, NaNoWriMo participants get 20% off of NovelPad, and winners will get 40% off. Pretty sick deal if you've been thinking about trying it out. I will link all of that in the description. If you have any questions, I will be reading and responding to the comments below, so go ahead and drop it there. And if you try it, let me know what you thought. Until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.